The outer trade station Virex 9 was the kind of place civilized space pretended didn't exist. It clung to the edge of a red dwarf system like a rusted parasite, its rotating rings patched together from scavenged hull plates and outdated shields. Pirates, smugglers, mercenaries, and desperate refugees all passed through its docking bays. Laws here were negotiable. Mercy was rare. That was why Mara was alone. She looked no older than 14 by human standards. Thin, pale, dark hair tied back with a strip of cloth. She wore an oversized jacket far too big for her, its sleeves hanging past her hands. To the aliens crowding the lower market ring, she looked like prey, a weak, lost human girl far from any protection. And predators noticed. The Krell Syndicate had been watching her since she stepped off the transport. 3 of them, tall, chitin-armored insectoids with hooked mandibles and scarred carapaces, trailed her through the market corridors. Humans were rare here, and unguarded humans were valuable. Slaves fetched good prices. Experiments fetched more. When Mara turned down a maintenance corridor, away from the crowds, the Krell acted. One of them slammed her into the wall. The impact knocked the air from her lungs. Another tore the jacket from her shoulders, laughing in clicks and hisses. "Soft thing," one of them rasped through a translator. "No claws. No armor. No pack." Mara didn't scream. She curled inward, protecting her head, her hands shaking, not entirely from fear. They struck her again. Cracked rib. Blood at the corner of her mouth. To the Krell it was routine. Humans were fragile. Humans broke. Then the lights flickered. The station's hum dropped an octave, as if something deep within Virex 9 had just woken up. Mara slowly lifted her head. "Please," she said quietly, her voice trembling. "You should stop now." The Krell laughed. And that was their last mistake. Beginning. A name spoken softly. Mara had been raised to keep her head down, to observe, to survive. Her mother had taught her that the universe was cruel, but predictable until it wasn't. If they hurt you, her mother had once said, you don't run first. You warn them. The largest Krell grabbed Mara by the collar and lifted her off the ground. "You do not command us, human child." Mara coughed, blood flecking her lips. Her eyes, dark, far too calm now, met his. "My mother warned me not to say her name," Mara whispered. "But I think you've earned it." Temperature dropped. Frost crept along the corridor walls, crawling over exposed conduits and metal plates. The Krell froze, not metaphorically, but literally, as their breath fogged in front of their mandibles. "Mother," Mara said softly, "I need help." The station lights died completely. Middle. When the galaxy remembers old fears. Emergency power surged back a moment later, but the corridor was no longer the same. The walls had changed. The metal looked older, bone-white, etched with symbols that hurt to look at too long. The air smelled like cold forests and burning iron. The Krell staggered back, mandibles clattering in panic. "What did you do?" one screeched. Mara stood on her own now. Her wounds were still there, but no longer bleeding. Something unseen held her upright. "I didn't do anything," she said. "I asked." A sound echoed through the corridor. Not footsteps. Not mechanical movement. It was the sound of a house. Walking. A massive shadow passed over the ceiling. The bulkheads groaned as something impossibly large pressed against reality itself. One of the Krell dropped to his knees, screaming as his translator shrieked warnings about gravitational distortions and spatial anomalies. Then a voice spoke. It did not come from any direction. Came from everywhere. "Who hurt my child?" The Krell collapsed. Their species had conquered worlds, enslaved civilizations. But this voice bypassed fear and went straight to instinct. Predators knew when they were no longer the apex. Mother, Mara said, her voice small again. They attacked me. The temperature plunged further. I spread like veins across the floor. You see. Something tore through the corridor wall. Not metal ripping, but reality peeling back. A structure emerged, impossibly large yet compressed into the space. A house standing on massive jointed legs made of bone and steel. Its windows glowed with a hungry yellow light. Baba Yaga's house had followed her into the stars. The Krell tried to run. They didn't make it far. One vanished screaming as the shadows swallowed him. Another was lifted into the air by something unseen. His carapace cracking like brittle ice before he was hurled into the bulkhead hard enough to dent reinforced alloy. The last Krell begged. We didn't know, it cried. She's human. Just human. Baba Yaga laughed. It was not a sound meant for mortal ears. Humans are very good at surviving, the ancient witch said. Because they remember their monsters. Middle. The truth the galaxy forgot. Security drones finally arrived, but they hovered at the edge of the corridor, systems malfunctioning, threat protocols looping endlessly. No one intervened. Mara stood quietly as the last Krell was dragged screaming into the darkness beneath the walking house. Then the corridor returned. The bone walls faded. The frost melted. The light stabilized. The house was gone. Mara collapsed to her knees. A human voice spoke gently behind her. Kid. Izzy. You're safe. It was Captain Rourke, a freelance hauler who'd seen too much to be surprised by much anymore. He knelt beside her, staring at the crushed bodies and warped metal. What in all of space was that? Mara looked up at him, exhausted, eyes suddenly very young. My mom, she said. Rourke swallowed. Your mom. Mara nodded. She's old. From Earth. From before spaceflight. Before people forgot that stories were warnings. Rourke helped her up slowly. Your mother wouldn't happen to be the Baba Yaga, would she? Mara hesitated, then nodded again. She told me to live quietly, Mara said. To grow up normal. But she also said, if anyone tried to take me apart, she'd remind the universe who she is. Rourke let out a shaky breath. Yeah. I think the universe just got the message. Ending. A warning written in blood and stars. The incident spread across Virex. 9 within hours. Security logs were corrupted. Witness accounts conflicted. But one thing was consistent. The Krell syndicate pulled out of the sector overnight. So did several other criminal factions. Across pirate channels and black market networks, a new warning circulated. Do not touch the human girl. She belongs to something old. Mara left the station the next day aboard Rourke's ship. As they entered hyperspace, she stood by the viewport, watching the stars stretch into lines. You didn't have to help me, she said quietly. Rourke shrugged. Kid, after what I saw. Helping you seems like the safest decision I've ever made. Mara smiled faintly. Somewhere beyond space, beyond time, Baba Yaga watched her daughter grow. Pleased, patient, eternal. The galaxy would continue to test humanity. It always did. But now it remembered something important. Some human mothers were not gentle. Some were not forgiving. And hurting their children was not a mistake you survived.